G'day, everybody.
Good day, everybody. Welcome to episode 8 of the Good Day podcast, where Maxie and I talk about our adventures down under.
And this is our first episode that is visually recorded.
Yes, so we'll see how it goes. I don't know where to look. Do I look at you? Do I look at there?
I have no clue, honestly. Maybe the camera?
Who knows? But we got a lot to talk about this week. We had a fun week. Last week was a big one, driving around Tassie, and it was kind of like finishing up our journey, and it was so much fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and now we're like settling down into another dog sitting job, so we get a little bit of constant travel versus like normal life.
Yeah, so this is a little bit more transitioning from adventure into normal life again, which is nice.
Yeah, it definitely is nice.
It's hard to it's hard to just be on the road all the time. Like, I don't know what we're going to do when we're going to be traveling from Melbourne to Perth and Perth to Darwin. Those are going to be some long roads without any really big breaks in between, but maybe we'll find some.
I mean, it'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be a ton of fun.
Yeah, it's nice to like be able to just do nothing as if we were just home in our own house.
And Love is Blind just came out.
Yep, so a good time to have a TV.
Yes, we need to see that right after recording. That's where we're going, straight to the TV.
I don't know. But anyways, so I think where we left off, we were at Cradle Mountain. We were checking out the next morning and heading to Strawn. And then to Hobart after that. So before we left Cradle Mountain entirely, we stopped by their visitor center so that we can get fresh water.
Yeah, because sometimes you don't really trust the water. Like at all of the national park, there was signs on all the water spouts that were like, well, there's signs on some of them, and some were saying,
boil first.
Yeah, boil this water, or it is always recommended to boil water before drinking it. And then it said fresh water drinking tap. And then the taps that didn't have this, I was like, all right, you boiled that water. But when it says fresh water drinking tap, you don't need to boil it. So it was like a little bit of confusion. So I was like, I don't want to get any water at this campsite. Let's just go to the visitor center.
I mean, we had previously drank multiple water bottles worth of that water. But for our last fill up, we decided to just go to the visitor center.
Yeah.
Where there was a sign that said filtered drinking water.
Yeah. And I've never seen a nicer like water fountain. They had.
First off, it was like a cold brew tap type of thing, or a beer tap. And you had options. You
had chilled, always nice. And then you had another option that was like still water. And then you had sparkling water. Sparkling water at a tap was unreal. Never seen it before. Like, amazing.
For hikers.
Yeah.
So, obviously, I got the sparkling water, and it was good. It was really good.
It was popping, yeah.
It literally blew the top off my Yeti.
Yeah.
Like, when I went to open it to take my first sip, after recapping it, it literally exploded the cap into the air and blew off an O-ring inside the cap, and I had to put it back in. That's how carbonated it was.
Yeah, it was popping, that seltzer. I love it.
It was popping off.
I wish I got it, but I just went with the chilled water.
It was honestly so good.
Yeah. And the drive around Cradle Mountain was nice too. Like I'm happy we got to see like a lot of it. We saw the wombats, which was a fantastic part of Cradle Mountain. We love that. But driving around, also like the street signs.
Just around Tasmania.
Yeah, all around Tasmania. They just have like cities in parentheses. Like,
I know
why?
we touched on this last time, and like how their parking will be like half P, quarter P, 3P.
Yeah.
Or their distances will just be a number. Corey thinks that it's like that back home. It might be.
I think I know that it's like back home. It's
yeah,
the same, yeah.
But the parentheses is new to us.
Yeah, it'll be like Hobart in parentheses, and then it'll say like 134 Ks.
Yeah, there's no reason for the parentheses, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't get that. It's like, and some of them don't have parentheses.
Yeah.
So it's not like every single city has a parentheses, or every single town has a parentheses, but it's like on the big ones for some reason. I don't know if I guess maybe a Google search would figure it out. But
yeah, but they have weird street signs here and bad ads from their government on street signs.
Yeah, we
They
saw
need
another
help.
one, another bad ad. I think it was said, like, going fast, try slowing down, or something like that. Like,
Yeah, like they need my marketing help, I think, but
yeah, they need somebody's help because it's not working for them.
I'll consider reaching out, but I just feel like governments are a little bit like, oh, we don't need anyone's help.
Yeah. So the next place we headed off to after Cradle Mountain was a little town called Strawn, and like we didn't really know what was going on here. Like,
Well, Corey booked our Airbnbs and he was like, okay, I figured out our accommodation. You can figure out the activities. And I was like, all right, bet, perfect. So the activities that we did were none.
yeah,
Because I'm not the best at planning in advance, working on it. But I think I'm really happy with what we ended up doing.
yeah, we kind of just like explored the town a little bit, and we got to our Airbnb like fairly early. And like first off, I didn't know it was our Airbnb because there was just like 5 dudes up on the roof, like putting on a new roof. So I was like, this can't be it. But then I like messaged the host and checked in with her, and he's like, oh yeah, don't worry, my husband's putting in a new roof. So for the first like hour we were there, it was just a construction site with people like it was like the worst second story neighbor or upstairs neighbor you could ever find.
Yeah, and we had a nice view of the host himself, the husband,
Yep.
with the biggest pot belly ever, no shirt, and a blue bucket hat, high wool socks, all bunched up, tall,
He was a specimen.
with boots on, just walking around.
He
with
walked
his
up
pot
to me.
belly and like bathing suit or something.
Yeah, he walked up to me, said complete gibberish, and I just said, ah, yeah, I got you, man.
That's
And then he said it again, and I was like, okay, yeah. And I think he was saying it was like bloody hot day to be out here on the roof. Must be a lot of noise or something. It was some complete gibberish that I just couldn't understand, but that's what I got out of it.
That's basically how conversations with Australians go.
Yeah,
They do not pronounce their vowels and consonants the same way we do.
No, they're just like
They don't pronounce it as it's written.
it didn't make sense. It was very very strange, but
Love them.
we made it through the encounter.
Yes. And then they left a ton of metal on.
Yeah, I walked
the...
outside and got like shards of metal in my feet. I still haven't messaged the host about that, but
Yeah, but they had a beautiful, pretty large backyard overlooking the harbor, and the harbor in Strawn is how much bigger than the Sydney
it's
Harbor?
like 17 times bigger than Sydney Harbor. It's
Or like
massive.
7 times bigger.
Yeah, it's so big.
Yeah.
It's like an
so-
ocean. Yeah, it's probably like the size of Long Island Sound, really.
Yeah.
Maybe not that big, but
It's
it was a really
really
like large
big.
bay, and it all comes out at one point, and they call it like Hell's Gate or something.
Yeah, so the activities we did get up to were like free activities for the most part. So we ended up taking a drive along Ocean Beach.
Yeah, so actually we talked to our host before, like she was just wandering around, and we're like, oh yeah, what's some stuff you could do? And she was like, oh, you should go to this beach, and like you could just drive on the beach there. And I was like, so I know I've seen the videos of people getting stuck in sand and stuff, so I was like, oh, is it like a sketchy entrance, or like how do you get on the beach? And she's like, there's a little bit of sand, but you could just plow like right through it. And I was like, do I need to deflate my tires at all? Like, and she's like, nah, just go for it. Which I think is the attitude of a lot of people down here. And after like probably 3 miles on just a gravel road, we get to like the overlook of the ocean, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's like where they call it the Roaring Forties is like the area of the ocean where is like really rough, and Tasmania is right in the middle of that. So the entire ocean from like South Africa comes and just blasts into Tasmania. So the beaches,
First time learning of this.
the beaches are all like just battered by wind and wave, and that's why there's massive dunes and things.
Cool.
And just like it's a very rugged area. But so we get there, explore a little bit. Like, what'd you think? It was nice, right?
It was beautiful. Oh my gosh. And the beach went on forever, so we just kept driving, or Corey kept driving, and
Yeah. But getting down to the beach was, I don't know, that wasn't that sketchy just because it was going down. So you have momentum going like down the dune.
and we took an off-roading class
Yeah.
before moving here.
But like initially it was like a flat flat, all pretty deep and loose sand, which isn't good not to drive on. And we get up to like the crescent right before the beach, and it's literally like straight vertical down. And I'm like, I don't know. We can't really turn around. What do you think? And Max was like, just do it. What are you doing?
Well, because it was just like the off-roading course.
Yeah.
It really was. Like, we went down some of the steepest hills. Corey drove down the steepest hills in the off-roading course. So I was like, you got this. We've done this.
Yeah, but getting down was fine. And the exploring, we just like slowly crept down. And then you could feel like the sand sliding underneath the car. So it was just like, you were chilling. Put it in 4 low, easy. And then we got down to the beach, and it was literally nicer than the gravel road we came out on. So flat, so much fun to drive on. There was like dirt bikers going around us, and other people have been on the track. So there's fishermen down at the point, and I got to get a fishing pole down here and start casting away, just because it seems like everybody always loves fishing down here. So
yeah,
that might be the next purchase.
I endorse that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then getting out of so I was stressing a little bit about getting out, just because I know getting stuck in the sand, we don't have any of like the right tools yet. We just like no shovel, no like nothing to get you out if you get stuck. So there was like two or three options I saw, not just by looking around. And then I see a cop coming, and he just zoomed out one of the options that I didn't think was like the best route to take, because I thought like, I want to get off this beach, I don't want to get stuck. And I was like, oh, the cop went. And Maxie saw the cop. He's like, oh, he went that way, just go follow the cop that way. And I was like, all right, we'll try it. And so as soon as we get in, it's a little bit of an uphill, and then it goes down, and then a steep up, and then basically you're out. So going in, you get down, momentum fine, but then as soon as we got to the top of the crescent, I wasn't really carrying enough speed. So I was just slamming on the gas, and I could feel my wheels spinning out from underneath me. Sand was flying out of the back, but we slowly crept over the edge and then made it. And Maxie, I don't really think you thought much of it, but it was just like a stress in my body, because I knew if we didn't get the momentum over, we would have to go back and try again, and just it would be a whole hassle.
Oh, I mean, I was worried that you damaged our engine or something. Like, I thought much of it.
Yeah, but we just unlocked a new level of driving experience, just because.
And I knew you could do it. I was more embarrassed about the sounds the car was making to the fishermen who were also driving on the beach right behind that road. But it wasn't as long as Corey described it. It was
it was a hard, like, that was the hardest way off the beach, I think.
No, I'm just saying it wasn't as like long of like the struggle part.
Oh yeah, it was just like
teetering over the little
second,
mound.
Yeah,
it was like 3 seconds, maybe 5. But
yeah, that was a fun day, because I feel like we're gonna be at so many beachside camps, driving on beaches, so it's good to get some experience.
After your insecurity telling that story, maybe we shouldn't.
No, you just got to be more prepared, just in case things do happen. You do get stuck; it happens to everybody. But
okay.
So once we get some more shovels and stuff, but yeah, and then we also went back out to this beach because one of the people we met on Mount Amos in Cradle Mountain told us about or you saw something. What did he say?
Oh, yeah. We met Italians at the top of Mount Amos, and he was posting that the Aurora Australis, which is the southern lights, similar to the northern lights, Aurora Borealis, they were going to be in the sky that night. So he sent me the best viewing spots, and it was Ocean Beach. So we went back out there late at night and tried to see it.
The stars were amazing. One of the best star sights I've ever seen.
Yeah, the most clear sky, because this is a tiny town in the middle of nowhere, West Coast, rugged wilderness, West Coast, Tasmania.
Yeah.
As far south Australia as you can get, really. Yeah,
and I swear we were outside of our Airbnb looking up at the sky, and we decided to go out, and the difference I thought was unreal. I thought just because we were a mile away from town, the lights or the stars weren't as bright, but as soon as we got 5 miles away on this isolated beach, the stars were glowing. It was the sky was on fire. You could see the Milky Way and everything, but no northern lights or southern lights.
Yeah, and the Italian guy who was in also a different viewing area couldn't see it. So I don't think we like missed out for any particular reason. I think they just like weren't in the sky.
Yeah, I think it's pretty rare to see during the summer down here. I feel like it's more of a winter experience, but still, the stars were unreal.
Yeah, and tell them about the upside down constellations.
Oh yeah, because we're on a globe. That might be controversial to some listeners, but since like one person is on like say the North Pole and another person standing on the South Pole, they're opposites. So we see the sky upside down as someone from the United States or anywhere in the northern hemisphere. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, so like the Big Dipper is upside down and all that jazz.
Yeah, all the constellations were. Actually, I think the Big Dipper was facing the right way. Like you could take a scoop out of it because I think up north it's flipped. I'm not too sure about that, but who knows?
I don't know about that.
There was yeah, and there was a ton of other stuff to do in Strawn besides this one beach, but I think the beach was my favorite.
Yeah, it was amazing. And Corey's been dreaming of driving on beaches since we've arrived.
And I've also been dreaming of driving trains.
Yeah, so like this one activity that we did want to do, it seemed like there's two big activities you could pay for in Strawn, and one is like a river cruise or harbor cruise, which is pretty expensive, or a train ride through like the rugged West Coast. And so we went down to the train. We were like, forget the river cruise. Like, that's not that exciting. We go down to the train, and the lady's like, can I help you? And we're like, yeah, we want to take this train today. It leaves at 2 p.m. And she goes, oh, it's a holiday weekend. It's a holiday on Monday. It's Saturday. It was Saturday, right?
Yeah.
It's Saturday. The holiday's on Monday. It's 8-hour days, which is like Labor Day.
Yeah.
So we're not running the train this weekend.
Yeah, and first she said, oh yeah, it's 8-hour day. And I'm like, so you're not working 8 hours today? Or are you working today? I don't know what that means. But it just means their Labor Day. And in what business would you close that's a tourist business where people will be in your remote town on a holiday weekend and you're not going to run a tourist attraction?
And it's not even the holiday yet. Like, the holiday's 2 days away.
Yeah, have your 8-hour day off on Monday. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
So that's kind of silly, but we didn't get to take the train, but it was fine. We did get up to some other fun.
Yeah, we saw there's a famous, I think it's famous for the town.
All of Australia.
Oh,
the
really?
longest continuously run play in all of Australia is in this random town. And it's called The Ship That Never Was.
Yeah, and basically it's a story of convicts from this area. Sarah Island was one of the most notorious and maybe the first prison camp for all the British that were down in Tasmania.
I don't think so. Oh, in Tasmania.
Yeah,
maybe.
in Tasmania. And it was a story about how they built a ship and then hijacked the ship and then sailed it all the way from Tasmania to Argentina or Chile.
Chile, I think.
And then the Brits found them, captured them back, and then they just lived their life from there. Some of them got sent back to Tasmania. Some of them built another ship and escaped on that ship and stole it from another government figure. But it was a really like quirky story where there was two actors and they pulled people from the crowd to like participate in the other roles, and it was awesome.
Yeah, I think they needed at least 10 other roles, so they just pulled a ton of people.
Yeah.
But the two actual actors were so Australian that you couldn't even understand them half the time. Like, Corey and I had to discuss the play afterwards and see if we were on the same page about what it was about.
Yeah, it was so funny. The guy had such good energy, and the girl, I don't think the lady, she actually looked like a pirate because she had no teeth.
Yeah, she truly had no teeth. So
it was a great play, and a woman actually fainted during the play that was in the crowd.
I forgot about this.
So just like all of a sudden I see like some lady run down to the like box office, like just a little stand before. This was an arena, maybe 100 people in there, maybe.
I don't even
60.
think.
Yeah, maybe 60 people in there. And we actually were lucky to get in. We were like the last people in because
we were one guy behind us. But
and every single seat was filled for this last guy. So they just pulled out a chair and put him like in the front row.
And he had to sit on the side,
Yeah.
like basically on stage in
But-
his own chair. But we got the last 2 actual chairs
Yeah.
because this couple who was booked for that showing, they arrived to ask them to reschedule them for the next night. So like shout out to them for
Yeah.
rescheduling because we got seats.
Yeah, and so the lady, so I see someone run to the box office, and then I look over to where she like was coming from, and then there's just a woman slumped like this, resting on the dude's shoulder, passed out, and I'm like, oh my god! And then like there's some like a murmur around the crowd, and then eventually the guy and girl running the show stopped the show. I'm like, yeah, you all right? And then they got her some help, but.
Yeah, I didn't even notice anything was happening until they stopped the show, but
Yeah,
it was very scary. She was
yeah,
an
it's a
older
scary
lady.
thing. It was wicked hot in there, so.
Yeah, and they had to walk her out. I felt so bad.
Yeah, but other than that, the play was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was
I
great.
would totally recommend it and go there again. And
Yeah.
after the play, we went, and I think there's like this town has like a pub, maybe 2 restaurants, and then a nice restaurant. And so we decided, oh, this is a sick spot. Let's go to this nice restaurant. It's like this very rustic fishing house looking place right on the bay. And there was like an old fishing boat there. It was so cool.
It was beautiful. Yeah, so we got ourselves basically what they offer is like a 3-course meal. That's kind of like the go-to, the way they set up their menu. It's like, please
Yeah.
order the 3-course meal, and then on the back page you can order like a la carte if you don't want to do that. So it wasn't too expensive at all, because this is a random town in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So we did the 3-course meal, and they brought us or was it a 4-course meal? Yeah, it was 4-course because it was bread and then an appetizer,
Yeah.
dinner, dessert. So they brought us our 2nd course first, then
Yeah.
they brought us the 1st course, and then after we had all those and we're probably done eating one or the other in front of us, they brought our drinks. So it was a little disorganized, but I guess that's what you get in like a little podunk town.
Yeah, we're just might not have the best service or anything like that. Yeah, it was good though.
But it was good, yeah.
Except the oysters. The oysters back home are way better than here. Even though they claim to be famous for their oysters, the people actually who we're sitting for now, the guy is like the head of Oysters Australia. Or he was, and he works with them, and he was like, yeah, a lot of places don't do their oysters right. And like why do you like say oysters are such a big thing from around here if they're not that good? So a little bit of a personal opinion, but definitely the oysters back home are better.
I didn't have them, but I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, and we actually now have exciting news.
Yeah.
Our first visitor is coming in a couple weeks. Shout out to Marshall. He booked his flights.
Marshall.
So if you want to be shout out like this on the podcast, just come visit us. Just buy a flight. It's that easy.
And then you'll be featured on the podcast.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Marshall's coming down. We got to get over to Perth by May 14th or something like that.
Yeah.
So we got some time to get over there. So that's on the agenda, and that should be really fun.
Picking them up from the airport at 2 a.m. and then we'll be taking a big road trip soon after that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but our road trip back from Strawn just featured like a bunch of old school mining towns, including another Queenstown, Tasmania, and there was just like literally these road signs. There was like welcome to, I forget the town's name, but it was like welcome.
Gormanston?
Yeah, welcome to Gormanston. And then literally one street later it says, thanks for visiting Gormanston.
Come again.
Yeah, so just like these super small mining towns that Queenstown used to be the home of like one of the world's biggest copper mines, and now they have the most polluted river in Australia from acid rain coming out of this mine, and all like the sulfuric tailings are polluting this river in Queenstown. View Miles has a great video on it if you want to check it out.
And it's bright orange. They call it pumpkin soup.
Yeah, it's pretty sad to see the river like that, but
Yeah.
the town was cool, and then there was just a coffee shop in the middle of one of the old mining towns.
Yeah, the town was called Linda, and they had this big...
Town didn't exist anymore.
Yeah, so there was this abandoned hotel, the Royal Hotel, that they turned into a coffee shop cafe. So we had breakfast there.
Yeah, and there was definitely an American worker there because she did the classic joke of when we both had like eaten everything off our plates. She was like, "Guess you didn't like it, huh?"
Yeah, I think she wanted to strike up a larger convo with her, but we were not really.
Coffee hadn't hit yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the rest of the journey back to Hobart was easy and fun. We got back here and just stayed in a little hotel for the night before our sit started.
Yeah, so
We did some more exploring, and actually we had to go get some supplies at like Kmart, which is the Target of Australia.
yeah, so
And-
Target's not good in Australia, but Kmart is literally the US Target basically. So it's amazing.
Yeah.
And way cheaper than anything.
Oh
even
my gosh.
Walmart. Like I don't know, I don't even know what example to give.
I got
a yoga mat for $5 Australian dollars. That is equivalent to $30, I think.
Yeah, and a nice yoga. I got a nice basketball for $3.
No, that was
Yeah, that was
$3.
$3. Yeah. So like all the best stuff comes from Kmart, just probably because we're closer to China.
Yeah,
You know?
and I also bought all the painting stuff that I would need for acrylic painting. Bunch of canvases, paint brushes, like the thing that you put your paint on, the paints.
Mm-hmm.
On top of like other things I bought, like the yoga mat. And I looked at my US bank account and that purchase, it was a ton of stuff. It was only $30.
Yeah, it's incredible how cheap things are out here. Like groceries are so much cheaper. It just like feels like a little bit more expensive just because it's like saying like, oh, it's $200, but that's only really $120. Like
Yeah.
the conversion rate helps us out here just because our money goes further, which is nice.
Yeah. So our chill day before our house sit, Corey finally got to go see Dune 2. I feel bad because it was coming out his birthday weekend. And if you are an avid listener, we went on like a little surprise weekend birthday trip up the coast, and there aren't movie theaters up there.
Nope. There's 2 movie theaters in Hobart. Well, actually, no, I think there's just one, and then I saw one in the mall. So I guess that's 2. I didn't know there was one in the mall. We just knew there was one that's like a super small cinema, and like they sell alcohol at the door, and we're like, can we bring a whole bottle of wine in there? And they're like, yeah, don't worry about it. The theater only had about like 30 seats.
Yeah.
If that, yeah, it was really small, very intimate.
I think
Loved
there
it.
was only 10 people that saw the movie that night.
Yeah,